Many tribes worked together to establish the Great Law of Peace long before European colonization. This was a sophisticated system of governance based on shared leadership, decision-making by consensus, and checks and balances. Some scholars argue that it significantly influenced the United States Constitution, though the Founding Fathers rarely acknowledged this connection. However, there are notable instances where they acknowledged and admired the governance structures of Native American nations, particularly the Iroquois Confederacy. Benjamin Franklin, a key figure among the Founding Fathers, had significant interactions with the Iroquois. As a printer and diplomat, he was involved in producing treaties and documents related to Native American affairs. In 1751, Franklin wrote to James Parker, referencing the Iroquois Confederacy, Benjamin Franklin. It would be a very strange thing if 6 nations of ignorant savages should be capable of forming a scheme for such a union, and yet that a like union should be impracticable for 10 or a dozen English colonies. This statement reflects Franklin's recognition of the Iroquois Confederacy's effective union and suggests that the American colonies could learn from their example. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, is one of the oldest participatory democracies in the world. Long before the arrival of European settlers, the Haudenosaunee developed the Great Law of Peace, a sophisticated system of governance rooted in principles of unity, consensus, and balance. This remarkable political system not only shaped their society, but also influenced the founding ideals of the United States. In this video, we'll talk about the origins of the Great Law of Peace, its structure, and how it inspired modern democratic systems. The Great Law of Peace emerged from a period of great turmoil. According to Haudenosaunee oral tradition, the 5 nations, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, were locked in cycles of violence and blood feuds. Enter the peacemaker, a spiritual figure who, along with his companion Hiawatha, travelled across the region to unite the warring nations. They brought a message of peace and a vision of unity under a single framework of governance. To symbolize the unity of the nations, the peacemaker planted the tree of peace, a great white pine. Its roots spread in 4 directions, representing the inclusivity of the Great Law, and an eagle perched atop the tree to warn against threats. Beneath the tree, weapons of war were buried to signify the end of violence. The Great Law of Peace established a detailed framework for governance, balancing power among the member nations. It emphasized collective decision-making, equality, and respect for individual voices. Here are some key elements. First, the Grand Council. The Confederacy's central governing body was the Grand Council, composed of 50 chiefs, called sachems, representing the 5 nations. Each chief was chosen by the clan mothers of their respective nations, ensuring that leadership was grounded in accountability and community consensus. Second, consensus-based decision-making. Unlike majority rule, the Grand Council operated on a consensus model, requiring all nations to agree before action was taken. This process ensured that every voice was heard and respected, fostering unity and mutual respect. Third, the clan system. The Confederacy was organized into clans, with leadership responsibilities divided across gender lines. Women, particularly clan mothers, held significant power in appointing and removing leaders, emphasizing the importance of balance between genders. Fourth, checks and balances. The Great Law of Peace included mechanisms to prevent the concentration of power. Chiefs were considered servants of the people, and if they failed to act in the community's best interest, they could be removed by the clan mothers. And finally, the symbolism of the white pine. The tree of peace served as a unifying symbol. The white pine's needles, clustered in groups of 5, represented the unity of the 5 original nations. The buried weapons beneath the tree underscored their commitment to peace. The principles of the Great Law of Peace deeply impressed early American leaders. In the 18th century, Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson studied the Haudenosaunee system, drawing inspiration for the US Constitution. Here are some notable parallels. First, federalism. The Confederacy's system of governance united independent nations under a shared framework while allowing each to maintain autonomy, a concept mirrored in the US federal system. Second, checks and balances. The Haudenosaunee use of accountability mechanisms and consensus influenced the creation of the US system of checks and balances between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Third, representative governance. The Grand Council structure, where leaders represented their nations and acted on behalf of the people, laid the groundwork for the concept of representative democracy. While the Founding Fathers acknowledged the Confederacy's influence in private writings, they rarely credited it publicly. The Great Law of Peace was more than a political system. It was deeply rooted in Haudenosaunee spirituality and culture. Its principles of harmony, balance, and respect extended beyond governance to guide interpersonal relationships, stewardship of the land, and communal well-being. The role of women was central in the Confederacy, particularly as clan mothers. They were the moral compass of the community, guiding leaders and ensuring decisions reflected the collective good. This balance of power between genders is a stark contrast to the patriarchal systems of early Europe. The Great Law united nations without erasing their identities. Each nation retained its language, traditions, and customs while contributing to the collective good, a model of unity through diversity. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy still exists today, continuing to operate under the principles of the Great Law of Peace. Their teachings remain a powerful reminder of the importance of unity, respect, and consensus in resolving conflicts. Scholars and activists have worked to highlight the Confederacy's role in shaping modern democracy. In 1987, the US Congress passed a resolution acknowledging the Iroquois Confederacy's influence on the Constitution. However, more work remains to fully recognize and honor this legacy. The Great Law of Peace offers timeless lessons in governance and diplomacy. Consensus over division. In a world often divided by partisanship, the Confederacy's emphasis on consensus provides a valuable model for collaboration. Sustainability. The Haudenosaunee long-term vision, symbolized by the seventh generation principle, reminds us to consider the impact of our decisions on future generations. Equality and inclusion. The balance of power between genders and the respect for individual voices are principles that remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago. The Great Law of Peace is a profound testament to the ingenuity and wisdom of the Haudenosaunee people. Their contributions to governance, diplomacy, and unity deserve greater recognition, not only as a historical influence, but as a guide for building a more harmonious and equitable world. As we strive to address modern challenges, we can look to the wisdom of the Haudenosaunee for inspiration, proof that the seeds of democracy were sown long before the arrival of European settlers on these lands. Let us know if you enjoyed this intriguing video. Just leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more.